Hi, welcome Fine Arts Museum's members. I'm Karen Huang, the Senior Director of Individual and Major Giving at the Fine Arts Museum, San Francisco, and thrilled to welcome you to our virtual Bouquets to Art. Over 35 consecutive years, this beloved tradition brought together over 100 local florists to fill our galleries with floral interpretations of artworks in our permanent collection throughout Bouquets to Art. This year, Bouquets to Art will be taking place virtually, and we're so pleased you've joined us today. We've adapted to the limitations of closure by planning a lineup of live talks like this one. We're also hosting live Facebook talks every day and art activities on our website to bring Bouquets to Art, our most popular and beloved event, to life in a new way. Now I want to take a quick moment to thank our very generous Bouquets to Art 2020 sponsors for their fabulous support. Thank you to Grand Patron Diane B. Wilsey, Honorary Gala Chair Lorna Meyer Callis, significant support from Dodge & Cox and G2 Insurance, generous support from Slope Garden Center and Wells Fargo, and of course, additional support provided by the Belvedere Tiburon, East Bay, Hillsborough, Ross, and San Francisco auxiliaries of the Fine Arts Museums. Now, I'm very pleased to introduce you to our fabulous host. Sharla Flock is a floral designer whose studio specializes in beautiful wedding and event work. Her passion for flowers is deeply rooted in our desire to connect nature and people through creating designs that celebrate the people they represent. Sharla practices sustainability throughout her business and loves supporting local growers as well as foraging from her own garden. She believes in the power of flowers and enjoys nothing more than donating arrangements following events to homebound seniors in her community. Throughout the workshop, Sharla will be answering previously submitted audience questions. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact Sharla directly at the end of the webinar. We will share her contact information. Take it away, Sharla.
Thank you so much, Karen, and to all of you for joining today. This is the virtual world, and here we are. So let's get to it, shall we? I am Sharla of Sharla Flock Designs here in San Francisco. I also have a company called Bloom Tuesday, which is a floral subscription service. We deliver bouquets of fresh blooms to your door every Tuesday. I'm working with local farmers, growers, and wholesalers just to kind of help keep things going right now. Weddings are normally what I do. Weddings and events, that's my jammy jam. I've been doing it since 2002. And since the pandemic, I've really had to shift how I do things. And so this is a way to keep me connected to the flowers. And also something that has happened is it's created a really beautiful sense of community. For me, it's very therapeutic every week when I see what the people out there that we deliver to are creating with the flowers. And it reinforces what I've always believed. And that is that floral design really is for everybody. It isn't just for a select few. Floral design is floral therapy. And I cannot emphasize that enough. I launched a business called the School of Bloom in the fall of 2019, just because of that feeling that so many people were intimidated by floral design. And I really needed to help get away from that and empower people, because I think once you have some basic skills and you have the confidence in yourself, it's awesome. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. And that's what this should be. It should be a beautiful experience. So, then when the shelter in place happened, I literally had my first workshop with an amazing group of women down at the flower market on March 12th, and then the shelter in place happened, and then there we were. So until we get through this, we're going to just do these things virtually for the safety of everybody, and thank you for joining to do that. So a little bit about myself. I started doing floral design in 93. Started my business in 2002. Was a fine arts major. Just studying arts, and then just had always had an inkling that I wanted to know more about floral design. My dad, is an attorney up in rural Washington State. His law office is an old hotel. And in the back of it, when I was a kid, he let a friend, start her first flower shop out of the back of that. So I don't know if it comes from that or not, but flowers have always been in my world. I've been working with the DeYoung for a number of years through Bouquets to Art, and that's how I got to meet all the beautiful ladies that are a part of putting that on every year. I was pretty bummed, but understood why it couldn't happen this year. And so I feel like this is just another wonderful thing that we can do together to continue the experience of Bouquets to Art. So let's do this. Let's start by taking a moment talking about what we have for all the products. I know a lot of you had emailed some questions in to Elizabeth and Cheyenne and Karen and the team. So I'm going to do my best to answer those. When we were talking about Bloom Tuesday, and bringing, seasonal blooms to you, I know that there was a question. I think it was, Thomas had a question about how do you know if it's locally grown? How do you know where it's coming from? And this also, there was another question about affordability and how you can get the maximum bang. I think it was Karen, the maximum bang for your buck, basically. And they kind of go hand in hand. So, just to answer that before we get in, a lot of this, I try to do always local. Everything that we have in, for those of you who order the kits, everything that we have is coming from the local growers and farms. Usually at your local supermarket, you will mostly, it's going to be local or fairly local, especially if you know like season, like spring, and you see the daffodils and you see the tulips and so forth. Most likely those are locally grown. Probably up north it will get a freeze where we can get those bulbs to open. But, a lot of this stuff is coming from local farms, especially with the shelter in place. It's much, much harder for, outside countries to get product in. So things like orchids, you're not going to see a ton of those. You're going to see the plants, but not necessarily a lot of the cuts. And also, the supermarkets, your local florists, those are great ways to find reasonably priced flowers. If you don't order from Bloom Tuesday, we're just covering San Francisco right now, but I encourage everybody to buy the flowers because as long as we're moving the product, right, we have to keep these farmers going. So that is something to just consider. Also, Karen, a great way to get a lot good bang for your buck is adding the foliage. Foliage is a great way to fill the space in your arrangement. So let's get to it, shall we? For those of you who bought the kits, those of you that didn't, that is fine. Your vase, chicken wire. And then here's a little hot tip for you kids who are at home and don't have chicken wire. Tape, Scotch tape. Ideally we could use flower tape, but I have found that the Scotch tape works great. So I am just going to I'm going to first time out. For those of you who do have the chicken wire, good therapy. I want you to crinkle it up and I want you to put it in your vase, right? Boom. For those of you who don't have the chicken wire, you can take Scotch tape. Quick, run, go get the Scotch tape. And what you're going to do is we're just going to make a quick little grid. And this is easy to do just to help keep the flowers from going all over the place. I do this all the time when I'm designing. So I'm going to show this to you. See how I just made a crisscross right there. And then what I like to do is I'm just going to do it halfway up around the lip. I don't want to see a ton of the tape, even though it's invisible tape. You're going to probably see some of it. And then you're just going to wrap it around. And I'm going to show this to you all close up and personal. Okay. So look at that. You can kind of see what I've done there, and you don't see a ton of the tape there. So that is step one. I'll let everybody hurry, get the Scotch tape, get that together. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to fill it with water. I say cold water, cool water is great. If you have flowers that are super, super tight, go ahead and you could do warm water separately to get them to sort of open and mature, but otherwise cold water is going to be great. I know Bill had a question about putting a penny in the vase. Here's the thing about the penny. The penny has copper. Copper has an element in it that helps get rid of bacteria in the water. You don't really need a penny. You just need to change the water. Really, we should be changing water every few days. The thing that kills our arrangements the fastest is when the funky water, the bacteria in the water gets it all gunked up, right? We don't want that. So, I would say if you want to do a penny, great, but I do just change the water. What I'll do is oftentimes instead of emptying it completely, I'll let water kind of run through it, because as we do this, and I'm going to talk about this, we want to always make sure that the stems are staying in water. Once they're out of water, you're going to need to recut those. So that's something to always be mindful of. So let's talk about what we have. We have some of this fun eucalyptus with those really groovy pods. They open up. Oh, these aren't open. I had some that were open up a little bit orange. These are coming from like the Manteca area, that whole valley, Modesto, Manteca. That is where when you go to the market in the spring, if you do, all the blooming branches, all the fruiting trees, all of that joyous, beautiful stuff is all coming from that valley area. They get nice and cold freezes in the winter, so it allows for all that stuff. And then that's where a lot of the produce is coming from. So that's what's happening there. We have these gorgeous peach ball dahlias. These are grown hydroponically. These are from Petaluma, from Nevy Brothers Roses. I was able to tour their greenhouses this spring, and it was amazing. It was awesome. So just like miles of greenhouses, but all hydroponically grown. I have these amazing roses also from Nevy Roses, Petaluma. Love, love, love them. And the spray rose right here. Love that. These are all from Nevy. And then we have some lovely, lovely scabiosa that we're using. Stuff is coming from Watsonville. A lot of the stuff, like I said, I'm always trying to support our local growers because they really need our love right now. I also had some plum that I thought would be really pretty. Let me grab that because I love the dark foliage here. This is also coming from the Manteca area. So we've got our product. Are you happy? Are you feeling good out there? Are you feeling kind? Be kind. Okay. So, what we'll do is, start with foliage. You're gonna, for me, I think that the foliage is the item that will give it shape, build the bones, right? So always give it a fresh cut. Fresh cut and remove the foliage. We don't want a bunch of foliage in the water because that foliage is going to lead to bacteria, which will lead to a shortened life of your arrangement, which we don't want. Continuing to layer. Fresh cut. Always a fresh cut. Always, 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 always. That was like one of the first things I learned in floral design. Always give it a fresh cut. I know that this is something to consider. Carol had a question. I think it was Carol had a question about like wildflowers and why they poop out so quick. Well, one of the things, Miss Carol, I think that was you, is that wildflowers, it's great to bring them home and punk them in a vase, but if you're not recutting them, it's impossible for them to hydrate. I was always taught that in early days of floral design that the florals will the bottoms will seal themselves off to hold on to what moisture they have. And so if you're not recutting it, it can't rehydrate. So I think that is one of the things. And the other thing I honestly think is because they probably just don't want to be cut. And they're like, wait, we were perfectly fine where we were. What are you doing to me? And you're probably bringing them from a hot climate to a cold climate inside, and they're just in total shock. So I'm not an expert when it comes to wildflowers, but I have a feeling that has something to do with it. So I'm going to leave some of these pods to play with later. That's a big honkin' branch. So we're going to get back to that. Right now, let's go to the dahlias. Okay. This is going to help build the shape. So I'm going to peel off the excess foliage because honestly, we don't need too much foliage. We already have this. Cutting it. And I'm going to sink it here. When we're making an arrangement, I want you to be mindful of where it's going to go in your home. Is it going to be on a coffee table or a dining room table? If so, that's going to be sort of long, all-sided, right? So we want to be mindful of all sides. That's not just one, but both the back, the ends, it all. If we're doing a statement piece, it can be, one-sided, three-sided. It's all about how you're going to experience it, right? Also, line of sight. We don't want anything that's going to be like, hey, how's it going over there? We want to just be always mindful of that. So when I'm doing centerpieces for weddings and events, this is the rule. You know, we're not going to have it be in our line of sight. So always sort of do that as your rule of thumb. Throw the elbow on the table, hand up, and you'll know exactly where not to go. Also, these are really branchy. You can pick some of those off and continue to go here. Also, just again, take off the foliage. It's so therapeutic. Just even picking off the foliage, it feels so good. So again, I'm going to cut it, and I'm just going to continue to layer that a little. I like when I can draw the eye in, meaning I'm going to do something sort of out here, and I'm always doing this backwards when I do these tutorials with you guys. So bear with me that I'm doing it a little backwards. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and continue. Oh, hello. I guess this one wants to be short. So continuing to cut right here. I'm going to sink it down. I'm going to actually cut it really short because I feel like it was telling me something that it wanted to be right down there. I love it when I can do something that just kind of draws your eye in. Then I wouldn't mind seeing something up over here, right? This big honker. I can go right over here. Oh, that's making me happy, you guys. So, how's everyone doing out there? I hope you're doing well. Okay, I'm going to continue here. Okay. You know, Carrie had posed the question. I'm just going to keep layering here. I may not love this. Okay. I don't love what's happening here because it feels like they're too close to each other. So I am going to take that out. Plus my rule of thumb of keeping things kind of lower. I wouldn't mind sinking something right down in here, right? That's that. Oh yeah, that works much better for me. So we've got the layering. When I do designs, it's a lot of layering. So that's really what we're going to do. We're going to continue to layer and build on that. I wouldn't mind putting, and I will get back to that question I just started talking about. I'm just going to throw a little bit of plum right here. The great thing about woody stems, and this goes for even hydrangea, split them. Take your scissors, split them. If I were using my knife, which I normally do, I want to peel that back so you can see the bark, right? This is a way to ensure that they're going to get hydrated. The branches, if they're not hydrated, they're going to poop right out. I absolutely love this. Oh my gosh, look at how the dark does with the light, right? That nice contrast that happens right there. I'm really digging that. I'm going to do just a tiny bit of it. I don't think there needs to be a lot of it. The plum could be a little happier, but it's still quite lovely. Fresh cut. Here. So, we had a question about using dried with fresh flowers. I love this question, and I say yes. However, please know that if you're going to do that, those dried stems are going to get pretty funky in that water, and yeah. So just be mindful of that. You can do it, but just know it's going to get they're going to get mushy probably. So next, I would love to move on. So we've built really big statement pieces, right? Now let's take the Antigua. These were Antigua spray roses. Look at those. So these are really, a lot of them are very branchy, which is great because now we have more to play with. We could even do these. How sweet would it be just to have like some of these like off in a little bud vase somewhere? So have fun with it. I'm going to take this little bit here. I'm going to give it a fresh cut. And I am going to see what looks like right like so. Oh, I kind of like that. I'm going to turn it around. Yep, I like that. So continuing to build on that, drawing the eye in. The other part, you know, when you have these small little blooms paired with the bigger ones, it's quite lovely. I'm going to take another stem of that. I'm going to peel off the excess foliage because, again, we don't want a lot of extra foliage. We don't need it. And I'm going to go like so. And I'm going to put it over here. The other thing, I'm doing something, I tend to gravitate to a more asymmetrical design when it comes to floral design. In other areas of my life, I'm very by the book. I like, when I load a van for a wedding, it is going to be super symmetrical. Everything is lined up. But boy, when it comes to floral design, I need to feel a little loose, right? So, having said that, find out where your happy place is and maybe push yourself out of that a little bit. This may be a huge stretch for you to get outside that comfort zone. So what I would say is, just be thinking a little bit about where you like to be. If you tend to like things more symmetrical, absolutely go ahead and do that. However, this experience together is to maybe push you outside your comfort zone a little bit. So let's try that. Again, another spray rose. And we're just going to peel off the excess foliage. Again, we don't want a ton of the foliage in there. And I'm just going to sink in kind of down low. You know, also, speaking of flowers, arrangements in our home, there was, Carrie asked about the dry flowers. Pam wanted to know about if you have pets. I have 2 dogs and a cat. I'm not so worried about, well, I lied. I have a dog that will eat everything, and then I have a cat who could care less. Some flowers that would be great are roses, sunflowers, Gerbera daisies. Lilies are great, but not for cats. They're okay for dogs. So that is something that you could, you know, your average flowers that you're going to find at the store, a lot of them are okay for your pets. So, just wanted to hit on that because we've got these beautiful roses. Okay, speaking of beautiful roses, I still have some of these spray roses left that I may want to fill with, right? But let's go to these. Oh my goodness. Let's go to these. These are a gorgeous rose. And again, continuing to layer. Fresh cut. Continue to layer. Now, if I were going to give this as a gift, I would say keep it in a cool, dark place until you're going to give it to your special person. Okay, another cut. And I wouldn't mind seeing something happen right up here. I'm going to pop that around just to see. Oh, do I like that? I kind of do. Bear with me. We're doing this together, right? And I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter because when I see it out here, yes, I like it better just a little bit. So even I am still a work in progress. So again, I like the layering that happens there. I like just that it's textures, even though the tonality is very much the same, it's the layering of the texture and the size of the heads that it really draws your eye in. I feel like we could do something over here. But then when I do that, I feel like, that feels like a weird little antenna standing up there. So let me see what happens when we continue to move it here. Oh, yes. I kind of like what's happening there. Oh, that's good stuff right there. I love the layering. So layer, layer, layer. I'm going to hold on to this along with my spray roses. I have this glorious Scabiosa. And this stuff is really, I love this. I love the Scabiosa. It's so dancey and so delicate. And I like that this tone really picks up the center of these. So I'm going to give it a fresh cut. And this is where the Dancy Pants comes in. This is like the light, delicate, just little bits of whimsy that happen. Again, continuing to always give it a fresh cut. Pick off any additional foliage that we have on here. Okay. If I were going to give this as a gift, I would hopefully do it the same day if I could. If I'm going to do a bouquet of wrapped flowers, you're going to always want to have them in water. Here's this. Isn't that so lovely? Again, let's just have some fun with this. I just love to loosen things up. What happens is a lot of times when we have these very round dahlias and roses and so forth, we need something to balance it up, to kind of give it a little, you know what? It's basically like drinking a glass of rosé. We need to just kind of loosen it up, right? And that's what the Scabiosa does. This is the rosé of the flower world. It kind of like loosens it up a little, like, hey. So this is what I love doing, is just adding this. And then continuing to layer, like bringing that out. Ah, isn't that fun? I'm loving it. Oh, this makes me happy. See, now this is great. You know, it's like, and sometimes it's just one element that just pulls it all together. And for me, it's the Scabiosa, one of my all-time most favorite flowers. And then I'm going to continue to layer right here. And let's do a little bit more. Right. Can I turn this around just real quick? Oh, yeah. Another one sort of right there, front and center. And then I have a little bit more. This is, remember, we had some of this left. So I love texture, if you can't tell by the flower choices here. So I would say with this eucalyptus, fresh cut, and I just ripped a little bit of it off, a little branch off of the berry. And then we're going to put it right sort of over here. Give it a little texture. And let's see what I can do here. Continuing to layer just a little bit. Again, texture. Let me take a look at that. Oh yeah, I'm digging it. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Oh, isn't this fun? I'm so proud of all of you. You guys are doing great out there. Okay, almost done. Almost done. And I'm just going to finish the back here. And this is a great way to finish the back. The little bits that you had. See my back? Now I'm kind of designed this to be more, well, obviously it's our tutorial, so for you to enjoy. But I didn't really do a whole lot with the back. So this is a way to just finish the back off. I'm going to take the roses that I had left. I'm going to just finish that up so that if I did want to have this on my coffee table or my dining room table, continue to cut, I would feel very proud of myself for having this there. And I want you to be very proud of yourselves for having this at your home. And last but not least, boom. So see, now I've totally finished the back. So I'm going to clean up my little messy mess here. Would like to say to you, first of all, thank you. I am so overjoyed that I got to do this with you today. I hope that all of you in your homes are feeling safe and as sane as possible, and that you were continuing to be kind. And every time you look at this arrangement that you made, let it be a reminder of what it feels like to be able to create something beautiful and to be kind to yourself, because those are really, really beautiful, important things. So if you have any questions, you can always email me, info@bloomtuesday.com. If you want more information on our floral subscription service, I would be happy to share that with you. And until then, I just want to say thank you to all of you out there for joining in today. This was super, super lovely experience. Karen, I'm going to send it back to you. And until we can meet again, everybody, this was a really wonderful afternoon together. So thank you so much. Bye. Bye, Karen. Thank you.
Charlotte, thank you so much for teaching us how to build a bouquet. And thank you all for attending a floral design workshop with Sharla Flock. Bouquets to Art in and out of our galleries would not be possible without the support of our loyal members and donors. So thank you. We ask that if you enjoyed today's talk, please consider making a donation to the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco in the amount that you would usually spend at Bouquets to Art. Now more than ever, we need your support when our doors open back up. Don't forget to tune in to our Facebook page this weekend to view more virtual Bouquets to Art talks with special guests. No Facebook account is needed, so head to our website to see the scheduled events. The next slide will include Charlotte's contact information for you to jot down, as well as the BTA website to learn more. Thank you so much again for joining us, and we hope to welcome you back to the museums soon.